Are you in perimenopause and you just feel disconnected or not in the mood? Your sex drive is like gone. Let's talk about what drives low sex drive in perimenopause and some solutions. I get asked this question every single day. There are patients who I say, "How is your sex drive?" And they say, "What sex drive?" And today I want to talk about those solutions with no shame or judgment and just kind of giving some resources for what you can do to reignite that sex drive. Because you're not alone, and it doesn't have to be the end of your sex life just because you hit perimenopause and menopause. I'm Dr. Jennifer Roelands, a double-boarded OBGYN and integrative medicine doctor. And if you like this content, please like and subscribe and share this with your friends. I really, really want women to be empowered and educated and get the information that they need. It's hard to get information that's accurate and to feel supported. And I want to make sure that you get that information. So please like and subscribe and share my videos with other women. Okay, let's get to it. Sex drive. It is so much more complicated than just estrogen. If you're on Instagram or YouTube, you see people just say, "Oh, it's all about estrogen." And if you just give estrogen back, everybody's just going to magically have wonderful, amazing sex. Totally not true. It's not just about estrogen. So in perimenopause, we have a lot of hormonal fluctuation. Estrogen is just one of them. We have fluctuations in estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, insulin. So many things change. In fact, it is just like this hormonal roller coaster of chaos. And often women will feel that. They'll say, "I just feel like this is a constant survival at this time." I felt like that. I'm in perimenopause. Some days are good and some days are not good. So let's talk about what drives sex drive specifically. So obviously the first one is going to be estrogen. Estrogen does so many things. First of all, estrogen in the brain helps to improve desire, arousal. The fact that you're even interested in your partner, estrogen has something to do with that. Secondly, estrogen at the tissue level. So in the vagina, we have estrogen and androgen receptors. So when you start losing estrogen, you start having tissue that's very thin and fragile and just not as plump anymore. So like trauma from having sex will cause women to feel like there's just less padding and less comfort. It also is needed for having good lubrication and also collagen. So when you lose estrogen, not only does your tissue become thin, pale, but you don't have lubrication, which is really, really important. And then you also aren't as resilient to that friction. So it affects the nerves that are surrounding that area. And so women discover that they have less sensation. It's like they don't feel things as much. And then you combine that with the laxity, or the tissue starts to become kind of saggy, as we know what happens to our face. And so women will feel less sensation and less arousal and desire as well when that tissue changes in the vagina. The second hormone that's really, really important is testosterone. I mentioned that there's androgen receptors in the vagina. So that means that testosterone is critical for the vaginal tissues, for arousal, for desire, but also orgasm. You need testosterone, you need adequate testosterone. The other thing testosterone does is that the brain, it works at the reward center. So when you think about a chocolate chip cookie, you're like, yes, I want a chocolate chip cookie. That's kind of what sex should be also in the brain. Like, this is a rewarding activity. I want to do this. So testosterone improves blood flow to the genitalia, increase in desire, but also in the brain improves reward. So you feel like, yes, this is something I'm thinking about, something I want to do, and it drives the brain to want to do that activity. Third hormone that's involved, progesterone. Guess what? We think about progesterone as this calming hormone to help you sleep, but it also helps calm the body down. We want to be in that relaxed, comfortable state in order to have sex, and we can't if we're stressed out about the kids or running around trying to think about our parents and all the things that we need to get done. So progesterone is important for the calming aspect of libido and arousal. Believe it or not, this one is one that people don't think about. Cortisol. We talk such negative things about cortisol and how cortisol is the stress hormone. You shouldn't have too much cortisol. Otherwise, you're going to gain weight and feel stressed and out of control. But cortisol is important in a couple of reasons. First of all, cortisol can lead to weight gain, which can affect how you feel about your body. I see women who say, it's not about wanting to have sex, because I have arousal and desire, but I don't really want to see myself naked, to be honest. So the way your body changes is affected by cortisol, because we start gaining weight in our midsection, which affects how we feel about ourselves. So cortisol is also really, really important. And we talk about that when we refer to solutions, because being stressed out does not help your libido. Lastly, I want to mention is that, fatigue also can play a part in whether or not someone is, their sex drive is affected. And in perimenopause, we start noticing things like vitamin D deficiency, iron deficiency, other sort of nutrient and mineral issues. And that can ultimately affect your hormones, but it can also affect fatigue. It's hard to be interested when you just want to go to sleep. You want him not to touch you. You just want to go to sleep. So it's important that those are also taken into account when we talk about whole body health, right? So it's not all doom and gloom. Let's talk about how to address low sex drive. What should you do? How do you talk to your doctor about these questions? What's the next steps? So first of all, I'm going to say checking your hormones are really, really important, because there's really no other way to adequately assess testosterone, for example. You have to do a blood test to know what is someone's total testosterone, free testosterone, SHBG, and DHEA. You can't really gauge on someone's symptoms because libido is complicated, or sex drive is complicated. So knowing your hormones, knowing your hormone values, understanding what do you need to replace or augment is really, really important. So making sure your doctor is willing to do your blood testing, especially with testosterone, because you want to make sure you're monitoring that safely, is the first step. Where are you in this hormonal journey? Are you in early perimenopause? Are you in late perimenopause? Are you already in menopause and all your hormone levels are low and they need to be replaced? So it's important to understand where you are from that perspective. And if you follow me, you know that I don't always talk about just wanting to be on hormone replacement therapy. There are women who choose not to do hormone replacement therapy and ultimately end up using herbal support or supplements or other options. So still, it's important to understand where your hormones are, even if you're not going to use hormone replacement therapy. If you're interested in hormone replacement therapy, check out my 2 videos, one on vaginal estrogen and its uses, and also on hormone replacement therapy, a doctor's guide, both of which kind of give you a insight into what exactly I would suggest for replacing those. Second, vaginal health. So many times this is completely ignored. If you're having pain during sex, we need to fix that first. It's not going to be enjoyable for you if it hurts. There's no amount of hormones that's going to outdo that. We need to understand, why does it hurt? Is it a lack of estrogen issue? Is it a pelvic floor dysfunction issue? Is it a positional issue? Maybe it's something that needs things change. Sometimes certain positions are more uncomfortable than others, and they need to be a conversation with your partner to see how can you switch things up to be more comfortable. So addressing vaginal health. I'm a really big proponent that a lot of women, in fact, most women probably need vaginal estrogen as they age. Vaginal estrogen can not only improve the tissue, it can improve lubrication, it can prevent UTIs and vaginal infections. Talk about derailing your sex drive. If you're constantly dealing with UTIs and vaginal infections, why would you ever want to have sex? It just doesn't really make sense. So vaginal health, really, really important. Get a good physical exam. See a gynecologist who's trained in menopause care, so you can make sure you can get a good exam and you know what is the cause for the vaginal pain. I see patients in my clinic at Precision Health MD, and often the menopause care full integrative model includes a good exam to understand what's going on. Sometimes it's vulvar issues and not vaginal issues. So really important, can't skip the exam. Number 3, communication with your partner. So this is one that we don't talk about a lot, but I think it's really important. And I would love to make a video, and I'm going to make a video on how to talk to your partner specifically about what's going on with you. Because often when I sit down and talk to someone about what does low sex drive mean, It's a partner mismatch where the patient says, well, my husband wants to have sex 5 times a week. I'm only comfortable with 3 times a week. And often I say, did you tell him that? Did you communicate what is normal for you, what you're comfortable with, what makes sense? And frequently the woman will say no. And so sometimes it's about partner communication. What is it that you guys both feel is normal? What type of sex is normal? What kind of things do you both need in that sexual relationship? So that can be a very easy thing to start with just communicating with your partner, or even in a gynecology office. I've met with both husband and wife or both partners, and we just kind of open these doors into what's normal. And that's because when you go through perimenopause and you're experiencing this change in your sex drive that you had before, sometimes it's hard to talk to your partner about this. You might have been doing something for a long, long time, and now things are switched up and they just don't understand what's going on. Why the sudden change? Why are you this different person? What happened? So I can often bridge that conversation between couples to help the other partner understand that these changes actually happen, and these are not in her head, but they are literally physiological changes that are happening to her, and how to help the partner understand how to meet those changes. So that's number 3. So know your hormones, get a good exam, vaginal health, and partner communications. Number 4, and probably the most important part, is honestly controlling that cortisol aspect. So it's so easy for us as physicians to say, just don't stress out. But stress does so much to interfere with sex drive. It not only interferes at the brain level, interferes with the blood flow to the genitalia that's important for women to achieve arousal to begin with, but also it makes it very difficult to have that partner communication if you have high cortisol. So I often talk to couples about, what is it that turns you on? What are the things that kind of get you in the mood, that just take away the kid responsibility and the parent responsibility? And what can you do to connect with your partner? Because oxytocin is an amazing hormone. It's our love hormone that we talk about. And you need that connection in order to want to be with your partner. So being stressed out and feeling like you're burning the candle at all different angles does not help when you're trying to improve libido and sex drive. So understanding what are the things that might be derailing your sex drive. Is it that you're staying up late at night dealing with, maybe parents that are ill? Is it that you're so busy on the weekends? Is it that you forgot to do date night? I mean, what are the things that you can focus on to specifically allow you to have pleasure and to enjoy that connection with your partner? So those are things that sometimes are a little bit harder to identify, but honestly, when you do, it can change the way that you feel. For example, I was working with this patient in clinic, and we were talking about, she has children that are teenagers. So they often can't get in the mood because their teenagers are up past them when they sleep at 10 o'clock, and the kids are up till midnight. So we discussed, how can we make this a fun situation where maybe the kids go off to school and you guys allocate maybe a Tuesday morning to have fun when the kids are at school. And that drastically improved her sex life, because they were always feeling like, oh my gosh, the kids are going to know we're having sex, or how are we going to do this? We don't want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning before the kids. And so it was a way that we can create this kind of exciting event for them. And it worked beautifully to help her out. So I want mostly from this video for you to understand that your sex drive does not have to go away. It can actually be reinvigorated or reignited. You can just follow these simple steps to try to figure out what is driving your low sex drive, and then some solutions to help figure this out. If you have solutions that you found worked really well for you, throw them in the comments, or throw in the comments questions that you have specifically about sex drive. I want to make videos that are important to you, and videos that will help you understand your body more and how to change this pivotal time in your life in perimenopause to be a thriving point. So let me know what I can do videos on, and let me know maybe some solutions for other women. Do you have things that worked for you in your life and maybe other women can benefit? Until the next video, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you like and subscribe.